So it's unfortunate that whatever these tribal stereotypes that are being highlighted, we can call them our ethnic fault lines, the way they are being highlighted on a global stage, that all of you are admitting that you have met foreigners in different country and they can specifically isolate one community, one tribe, and you sort of think that you're immune or you're shielded from the same perceptions. Because you don't understand, once you leave this country, as long as you have the Kenyan passport, they will still view you, whether you come from the most remote or the most marginalized community, they will still view you with the perception of the dominant narrative. So if you have played a part in feeding and fueling this perception and, encouraging it because of your internal or our intra-communal biases, if you have participated, then it's almost like shooting yourself in foot. And another misconception, another narrative that has been perpetuated by the elites of our community is that this is hegemony, that this is how everyone thinks. I will take you back to independence, and there was somebody who had been detained together with Jomo Kenyatta in Kapenguria called Bildad Kagia. Bildad Kagia died in squalor because he had the principles and the balls to say, to tell Jomo Kenyatta, if this is the independence, because Kenyatta and his cronies went on an immediate looting spree. They hit the ground running and started grabbing everything that the white man was conceding. They started grabbing it left, right, center. So Bildad Kagia said, this is not the independence that we fought for, and he was suppressed. You see, if you've interacted with the Kenyatta family criminal enterprise, what they do is they require utmost loyalty. So nothing else matters to them. To them is loyalty, with a tinge of psychophancy. So everyone who has made it in the Jomo Kenyatta regime and the Uhuru's regime, the only value component they brought to the table was that they were sucking his whatever. That's all. They were just licking his diab. That's all you needed, because that mentality had been spread on from their father. So Bildad Kagia, because of taking an ideological stand and saying this is wrong, he suffered the consequences. Those who complied, the majority did not even know what was happening, because these are peasants. They had just come from state of emergency, suppressed. Those whatever. You remember how we had been suppressed during the lockdown period, the COVID period. That's the same. Now you can imagine worse, because Uhuru did what the state of emergency, the colonialists did during the pandemic period. In fact, the measures killed more people than the virus. That should be, I don't understand why this regime is not opening a commission of inquiry into those crimes against humanity. But anyway, so there exists an alternative viewpoint within the community that is distancing themselves from the heinous reputations which have been inculcated or built and nurtured by those who have gone ahead of us. Those, like now we are talking about the tribal chiefs, the ones who sold out to the colonialists. There's one Chief Njiri, and then there's another one called Chief Koinange, and then who is this other one? Warohio. All those guys are sellouts. In fact, anything named after them should be stripped off, because of, as we now approach a new era post the death of Mukami Kimathi. Now, those are the things we should be we should be attending to. Yeah. So there is these guys, they stole the land. You can imagine even the Koinange family, they're still fighting. They are in court in protracted legal battles over land that they didn't even, that was communal land. That was our land. They are still fighting over it. And that was land they stole from us, and they are still selling it to other people. They're selling it to Muzungus, to Rivers, and all these other clowns. Yeah, that's our heritage. And that history is so suppressed. I told you, everyone who, they've been programmed that it's now, I don't know whether you saw the headline of John Gedongo, is a book called It's Our Turn to Eat. So everyone is waiting for their turn. so that they can make a primitive accumulation of wealth. So everyone is waiting for, and so they have, in one way, I told you the people who have made it, the guys who are wholesalers, the guys who do illicit business, tenderpreneurs, they have captured all areas of dissent. They have captured the church, they've captured the political establishments from a low level, so that anyone who tries to even raise issue that why, because everyone now, once you become the chairman of CDF, now it's your turn to eat. Once you become the MCA, it's your turn to eat. It's your turn to grab. And I told you this is steeped in a hardwired colonial mentality of extreme contempt for young people. So you see, the first thing they grabbed, everyone who was in the municipal councils or in the counties, the first thing they always grab is the children's playgrounds. They are non-existent in Mount Kenya. And so you people are there thinking that we are living our best lives. I'll tell you, Uhuru, the only road he built when he was president was the Eastern Bypass, the one that is passing through the land that they grabbed, called Northlands. That's the only road he built. Because this other one that you talk about, Kenol, Sagana, Marwa, that is connecting to the Northern Corridor, connecting to the Ethiopia border. That's the only reason that the donors availed funds for it, not because it's helping the communities, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about, because I'm telling you now, these people also own the vernacular stations. Now, in the vernacular station is just retarded anti-intellectual crap. That's why I don't listen to Kameme Inoro or there, because they don't go to our history. They don't talk about our disenfranchisement, especially young people. They don't talk about when you go to Saudi Arabia and all these other immigrant places, that it's our communities which are dominant there, because they've been disenfranchised by their leaders. The leaders deprive them of opportunities. Their same MPs go in parliament and vote for laws and bills which are contrary. And so I wanted to give you an example of Cameroon. When sometime I was in Cameroon last year, and I was taken to see the king of the Bamoons. Is in a region called Fumban. And I met the king, and I was engaging him. But by the way, it's not easy to meet him. So my friends are also high rollers. And so we were discussing, and the king was telling me how the father, I don't know, in the 14th century, the white man came and he tried. And so one of his forefathers hid all the artifacts underground and everything, because the white man was coming just to destroy everything. That's why they kept a semblance of their kingdom intact. And their kingdom is not big. Their kingdom is only 30,000 or between 30 to 50,000 hectares, and he's in charge of the land. He oversees arbitration over issues concerning the community. And back to what Wangari Maathai said in a TikTok, which I had shared here earlier, is that tribe was used by the colonialists to denote and to divide and to keep us, to show that we are primitive. But essentially we were not tribes. We were countries. We were small nations. We were small administrative units. Not sophisticated, but we survived and coexisted like that for centuries before the turn of the 19th century, when now the white man came to demolish everything. And so we only had leaders because of our narcissistic and primitive accumulation mentality, which has been passed on to the younger generations. Because I remember when I was growing up, I was this young, chubby kid who everyone liked. And then when I started getting into my teens, I started seeing a prevalent narrative by parents within my community telling their children, don't meet Francis. I don't want you to be friends with Francis, yeah. And it could still be prevalent, but the thing is, most of the parents are dying, and whatever lies they had pumped to the heads of their children are, of course, being exposed, because of course the economy did not turn out the way they might have expected. So we are now having young people in their 40s in an ideological limbo, because everything they were told this guy, and suddenly now, because the truth always outlives. The truth is eternal. So suddenly now people are in an ideological limbo. And like now, I used to tell them, don't vote for Uhuru. Uhuru is going to screw you, man. I was isolated by the community, because there are mechanisms in the media, in the church. There are mechanisms which land down on you heavily when you go against the narrative when you go against this agenda, because everyone has been programmed. Because like Bildad Kagia, everyone laughs at him. Oh, he didn't steal when he was in power. He did not primitively accumulate land like the others. Hey, what was your grandfather doing? You've heard that lie. When your grandfather, what was he doing when Jomo Kenyatta was stealing land with his cronies? So it's a prevalent mentality, and people always understand that now you have to wait, and which is why you're seeing Moses Kuria so angry. And you're seeing the media saying Mount Kenya wins because we've been, those people who are appointed because they're Kikuyu, they don't help the community, they don't help the region. Their regions are some of the poorest. Now people need to start unlearning that.